everybody, and welcome back to my favorite segment, which is Broadway Roulette. In this segment, I choose a Broadway show randomly, and I give you everything that you need to know in less than 10 minutes. Today, I chose a musical that I love very dearly, and it is actually making a reappearance on Broadway, and that is Beetlejuice, the musical. Boom. So what's it all about? Well, Beetlejuice takes us into a world where a lovely couple, the Maitlands, are moving into their new home, and then, through a tragic accident, they die and become ghosts. In their new lives as ghosts, they meet another pretty interesting ghost called Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice convinced them to haunt their new residents of their home. As they try to do that, they actually meet Lydia. Lydia is the new teen of the house, and she is a goth teen who is mourning the loss of her mother and her father, who is neglecting her with his new girlfriend. They actually create a bond with Lydia, and then Beetlejuice comes in and finds out that Lydia can connect with ghosts. When he finds that out, he tries to take his plan to the next level. And it is said that if you say the word Beetlejuice 3 times, he will come back to life. That's the story. It is based on the 1988 movie by Tim Burton. It has a huge fan base, and it is a pretty fantastic story to bring to Broadway. The musical was written by 3 people. The book was written by Scott Brown and Anthony King, who also wrote Gutenberg the musical, and the music and lyrics were written by Eddie Perfect, who actually wrote King Kong as well. He is also a performer himself, which is pretty fantastic, pretty crazy. He had an amazing year in 2019. The show was directed by Alex Timber, who you might know from Moulin Rouge, Peter the Starcatcher, and even Just in Time, which is now still playing on Broadway. The show was led, of course, by Alex Brightman, who had an amazing performance. And we also had Sophia Ann Caruso, who played Lydia, Rob McLaurin, Carrie Butler as the Maitlands, and Leslie Kritzer and Adam Danheiser as the father of Lydia's and his girlfriend. As a show who has ghosts as its main characters, it really talks about grief and loss, the identity of a person after they lose somebody so close to them. It's a really beautiful way of having humor with really hard subjects combined together and talking about letting go, talking about what family means, how you conquer these really bad things that happen to you, but you move on and you become stronger and still remember the people that you care about most, which is beautiful. It's all done with the most dark humor ever. The show has some pretty amazing songs. The most famous, I think, is the whole Being Dead thing, Say My Name, which is another fan favorite. We have so many good songs from there. Another beautiful thing about the show is that it's very aware of itself, and they break the fourth wall a few times, which I always love when they make it more accessible for the audience and you feel like you're part of the story. So they do that in Beetlejuice a few times. The show opened on Broadway in 2019 and was supposed to close on June 6th on 2020, but then the pandemic happened. It actually closed 3 months earlier with no plans to return because there was a whole thing with the theater, which I will discuss later. Then, because the fans screamed and wanted it so much, it actually came back in 2022 after the pandemic and to a different theater. It opened in the Marquise instead of the Winter Garden. It stayed there for like a year and then it closed again. And now we're having another production that's coming back to the Palace Theater on October. Actually, it opened a few days ago. It is going to run until January. The cast of that production is actually the cast that went on tour. They toured for like 3 years. They closed the tour in 2025 in September in North Carolina. And now they all came back to Broadway. I don't know how many of them are doing their Broadway debut, but this is a fantastic way of giving it up for the tour cast and giving them a stage in New York itself. Because of its huge popularity and success, it had productions in other countries like Brazil, like South Korea, Japan, and so many different countries that are adapting it and bringing it to their home. Besides from that, the show was nominated for 8 Tony Awards, but it won 0. It didn't win any awards, which is such a shame because the whole thing was such a huge production. The scenic design, which felt like another actor and changes entirely in the second act. Really, they did an amazing job with everything, but there was a big competition that year in 2019. We had Hadestown, Tootsie, and Oklahoma, a lot of really great shows. So it had its competition and it did not win any Tony Awards. But the fact that it survived so much after that means that it is a really, really good show. People love it. The fans are voting with their feet. again, I love those kind of projects where fans make the show come to life and stick and stay. But why did they have to do that? Well, let's talk about the whole controversy of this show. The show opened in the Winter Garden. It was under contract, and in those contracts between a production and a theater, you have a clause that says that if the production does not earn enough money in the span of 2 weeks, the theater has the right to push them out. That clause was actually viable after the opening. Beetlejuice did not do as good after the opening, and they did not earn well enough. The thing is that after that slow start, Beetlejuice became a hit. It was selling out, it was earning well above that clause, but they still pushed them out because they could and because they had a better production coming up, which was The Music Man with Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman, which they were planning to bring anyways. It brought a lot of thoughts and a lot of anger that this clause was meant for Beetlejuice to be pushed out anyways from the start. People were getting mad at that. It was a whole thing. The fans were really, really pushing for it to stay, but it couldn't because of that clause. I think it was still fine. We got The Music Man, and then Beetlejuice moved to a different theater anyways. And it found a new home, and it survived for another year or so, which is fantastic. It's all business. We need to understand that. The Music Man did amazingly as well. So that's fine, I guess. Why is it such a fan favorite? Well, there's a few things. First of all, it's a visual spectacle. It is stunning. You enter the theater and then you see this amazing set, and that set changes after the intermission to a totally different set that fits the plot that is changing. The costumes are very visual. Everything is so visual. They did an amazing job of bringing this quirky and gothic movie to life in the most Broadway way ever. Another reason why it's such a fan favorite is that it tackles really important subjects like grief and wanting to belong, but it does it in the most humorous way and the most bizarre way ever. I mean, the songs are just fantastic, just fun to sing and dance around to. The last thing is that it really engages with the audiences. The first song, The Whole Being Dead Thing, the opening number, has a few segments there that they change all the time according to where they're performing, the timing. It's so beautiful that how they change it all the time. I love it. It's always exciting to hear that.
Hey folks, I'm at the Palace, back to sip that Broadway chalice. Been on tour through hell and Dallas. Let's start, the whole being back thing.
The show had a lot of positive reviews, mainly from the audiences, but it did have some negative reviews, mainly stating that it's sensory overload and it might have been too different from the movie. Fun thing about it is that the musical is actually called Beetlejuice, the musical. I know, right? Wondering what I think about this musical? Well, thank you for asking. I actually have seen this production both in DC and on Broadway in the Winter Garden. I loved it. I remember that when I saw it in DC, first of all, I came to DC specifically to see it because I love Alex Brightman. I came to see him. I just fell in love with the whole cast. They did a fantastic job. It was so refreshing. It was just this over-the-top musical with some amazing songs. I loved the set design. It felt so real and so intricate and just like out there for you to feel the show. I love the humor. I thought it was just amazing. They do have an effect where Lydia is like flying up, and I still don't know how they did that. I've always been wondering how they do it. And then I saw it on Broadway. I saw it with my dad, and he also loved it. I don't think that I had a lot of deep thoughts about it afterwards. I think I just had a great time. I loved watching it. I loved watching the actors play with it. I thought the dances were amazing. The direction was amazing. Everything was just so over the top and so fun. I can say that I enjoyed it more on the first time that I saw it than the second time. I don't know if it was the changes that they made or if it was just like me seeing the same show twice, which I don't do usually. I still enjoyed it and I still listen to the songs. The Whole Being Dead Thing is my favorite. I think this is a show that is just so uplifting while being so dark, and it fits, especially at a time where Broadway has almost no funny musicals. Most of them are dark or telling the story of a person or just being a drama that has some comedy in it, but this is a comedy. You come and you just laugh the whole time. If the performances are great, which I'm sure they are in the production that just opened, then it just feels you from inside and you just love every minute of it. I will say, for me, it does land on the main actor. So Alex Brightman, for me, was the reason why it worked so well twice. I don't know the new actor that is going to play it, but I'm sure he's going to be fantastic. And that's why you should see it, because it's a great show. And if you have not heard any of the songs, you should. That is all I have to tell you about Beetlejuice. That's all you need to know. It is now performing at the Palace Theater for a limited engagement. If you're seeing this video and it is not on Broadway, please check it out. Maybe it's in your country, maybe it's on tour. It's a great show and I feel like it's going to live for a long time. If you like this content, please like and subscribe and comment. I would love to hear your thoughts about the show. Have you seen it? Do you like it? What is your favorite part about Beetlejuice? Please share with me in the comments. I will see you next time on our Broadway Roulette.